Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 81. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Chandler.
And today we are talking about the Whitworth, a 40-ton machine. The Whitworth was designed to fill the scouting gap that was between the Wasp and the Phoenix Hawk. The design was not up to snuff for scouting, as its speed is comparable to that of a line model. Despite this, it was produced in large number and deployed with the SLDF. The machine's design has issues with its legs and hip actuators. Unfortunately, to resolve the issue, the machine needs a complete rebuild of its lower torso and legs. This was first done on any scale on Acrux, A-C-R-U-X. Acrux, with the 5S in the 3070s. In 3035, Whitworth's specialty manufacturing was established on Benjamin. This project was supported by Comstar to produce replacement parts that were unavailable after the destruction of its original factory. Because of this, the Whitworth is commonly thought of as a Draconis Combine machine when its origins are in the SLDF. When the factory was constructed in 3035, it is believed that approximately 300 functional machines were in the inner sphere, but many machines languished as parts storage since they could no longer be repaired, but many of their parts were useful for other machines or modified mountings for weapon systems. The Whitworth never truly disappeared and was never truly ubiquitous, but it is a staple of the battlefield and is common in any era. It has the design quirks of rugged one and weak legs.
Yeah, it's a 40-ton mech that goes 4.6.
Yeah, it's not fast.
If you're playing a very limited scale game where pretty much everybody's running lights and mediums are the heaviest thing you can expect to see, because maybe you're out on the fringes of space or you're part of an underfunded sector of a great house, this is a great fire support mech. But if you're playing full-blown Battletech in any more populated or high-conflict region, it's 8 tons of armor, which is impressive for a mech of its size, is not going to save it. It's a poor man's trebuchet.
That's actually a really good comparison.
It looks like a in-between of the trebuchet and the javelin, because all three of them have that bucket head.
Yeah.
And all three use missiles.
So the first model we have is the WTH-1S, seen in 2610, and this first version was a short-range variant that was eventually phased out for the Dash 1. The 1S, however, has a movement profile of 464. It's got a medium laser in the head, an SRM-6 in the right and the left torso, and then a medium laser in each of its arms. It has 14 single heat sinks, and no fancy tech in the torso. It's just got a single ton of ammo for each of its launchers, so 1 ton in the left torso, 1 ton in the right torso. So if you're opening up with both, you got 15 salvos, which will probably do you for a game of tabletop.
Yeah, again, it's okay. If you are playing the right scale of game, it's okay.
It has a niche, and it's good in that niche.
And that niche is very limited combat.
Well, it's got a battle value of 917 and a point value of 25, so obviously it's not swinging for the fences with those numbers. But 79 years later, in 2689, we have the Dash 1, and it has a movement profile of 464. It's got a medium laser in the head, an LRM-10 in the right torso, an LRM-10 in the left torso, and a medium laser in the right and left arm. It has 10 single heat sinks, and again, 1 ton of ammo for the LRMs in each torso, so 2 tons, but that'll net you 12 rounds if you're opening up with both LRMs.
And this is, when I said this is the poor man's trebuchet, this is the one I was referring to.
Yeah.
Because this is the OG Whitworth from the original TROs.
Mm-hmm. There are some trebuchets that do have short-range missile loadouts, so it is not an entirely unfair comparison for the 1S.
Yeah. The 1S is the other OG Whitworth, mentioned as a variant in TRO 3025.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess going back to the 1S, if you can get in close with those SRMs against other lights, your armor makes you terrifying. And then this guy just, again, he's too slow to really hang with mediums, and he's too lightly armed to provide decent fire support for heavy mechs, which is what his speed range has him keep up with.
Yeah.
I guess if I had a use for this, it would be as a cheap fire support for a combined arms. Here's an infantry regiment. You have a company of Whitworths supporting them.
Hmm. I could also see it as a good garrison unit, despite being designed as a scout.
I've had some pretty good experiences with the Whitworth and HBS Battletech with the 3062 mod, even though it is kind of underwhelming for a fire support mech at 40 tons and only has the 2 LRMs. Just being able to have a mech that I can just be like, okay, all you do is shoot missile. And before you start getting into dedicated having tons of heavy mechs laying around, having a medium mech on the lighter end, so I don't have to worry so much about mission tonnage, just be able to have 2 LRM-10s to just throw at the enemy is nice.
Yeah, there you found the niche for it.
And really, with the way I was using it, the only time it ever really, I was like, okay, now I really got to replace this is when I started bashing my head against,
Lots of heavies.
Yeah, heavy and assault mechs where 2 LRM-10s are nice, but they're not gonna make a battle. It's like, well, at that point, I might as well finally get rid of you and get like an archer or something.
Yeah.
Something that can keep up.
Yeah, something that can keep up with the damage.
I mean, the 2 LRM-10s being swapped out or being swapped in for the SRMs, I think is a good upgrade because it gives a little bit more long-range reach, which doesn't offset the lack of speed, but mitigates it, we'll say.
Yeah, you can at least hope to stay out of danger and still contribute instead of having to go into the danger zone.
Yeah, because the Whitworth is not a brawler. It's got a lot of armor, but it's not a brawler.
Yeah.
Like a lot of armor for its tonnage. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason it's not a brawler for its tonnage despite the armor is because of how slow it is. Nothing that it wants to brawl with is going to stay around to brawl
Sit
with
there.
it.
Yeah.
And anything that
Sit there and
doesn't
let you
mind
brawl
brawling, anything that doesn't mind brawling with it is going to have as much or better armor, and it's going to have a lot more firepower, like Chandler's Hunchback.
So really, this thing is good for combined arms, either versus or with.
Yes, you just want lots of other things. This is one of those kind of like almost ninja units where it hangs back and hopes not to be seen because there's other bigger threats, while it just pokes away with its long-range missiles.
Yeah. So the -1 has a battle value of 982 and a point value of 25. We then come to the WTH-0 seen in 2754, and this is a Ameris Dragoons exclusive. Only 24 were ever made, and they were used in terror attacks.
Terror attacks on Terra.
Also along the Lyran Rimworld border during the annexation. And I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of them did some bad stuff in hegemony space.
And can I just point out that WTH is such a great name for this naming convention, because what the...
Yeah.
We've gone from the 1S to the 1 to the 0, and then up next is the 2, and then...
the 1H.
And then the 2A, and then we get a K with no number.
And then we jump to a 5S for some reason. What happened to 4? Nobody knows. But the 0 has a movement profile of 464. It's got a medium laser in the head, SRM-6 in the right and left torso, and a medium laser in the right arm. And then it has a flamer in the left arm. It has 14 single heat sinks and a single ton of ammo in each of the torsos. But the notes say that often the pilots would load one of those tons with Inferno rounds. So, fun.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to start fires.
There's nothing like Infernos when you want to do a little war criming. Am I right?
I mean, there's a reason that fire is, a signifier for terror and destruction and things to be scared of. Fire is a scary thing. And
This is
Inferno
true.
Gel, it doesn't go out. It just keeps burning.
It just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's true. has a battle value of 863 and a point value of 24. Next up, we have the 2 seen in 3050. This guy has a movement profile of 464. It's got a medium laser in the head, and it has an LRM-10 with Artemis 4 in the right torso, and same in the left torso. It's got 10 single heat sinks, and it has a ton of ammo, just like all of its brothers and sisters.
I like it. It's a nice upgrade.
Yeah.
Not sure if... I guess they wanted to add the Artemis 4 without massively increasing the costs of the mech by not adding like Endo Steel or Ferro or XL engine.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely make sure your heat curve isn't too bad, so if you somehow alpha strike with your LRMs and your medium laser, you don't boil.
I mean, the only thing I don't like about this one and the change is that the arms don't get hands. Like,
yeah, who needs hands, right?
Whitworth slowly raises his stub.
Me.
Yeah, okay. I like the fact this one doesn't have hands because the original artwork doesn't have hands.
It does line up with the artwork. I'll give you that.
Yes. With Artemis, like we were talking about how this guy just wants to hang back and be ignored. With the Artemis 4, it makes it essentially like a LRM-15.
Mm-hmm.
So
it allows it to punch up a lot easier.
Yeah, you're going, okay, yeah, technically I'm not an LRM-15 carrying medium, and I technically am not a great fire support mech for a heavy lance, but I have Artemis now, so I am almost an LRM-15, and I am more capable of doing what I claim to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely a good upgrade. It does also get some different art, which is kind of neat. It gets a little bit of a checkerboard paint job, and sporting those dragon from the Draconis Combine in a couple spots, because the Draconis Combine kind of has their lion's share with the ability to actually repair them.
Who would have thought being able to fix something would make sure you have it?
What are the odds?
Who would have thought it?
You look at the two arts, the original being very liney and it having this giant barrel chest and the two arms that end in weapons, because of course those models have the medium lasers. It looks very good, but it also definitely looks of the time, and I like it. I think it looks good and neat. And then you get this little redo, which kind of like blocks out the chest a little bit more by opening up the little ports that are on the side to be like full on like half of the pecs. And it gets a different perspective from being like at eye level to down below. And I like it. It looks cool and neat. You definitely get to see more of that bucket head though in this art. And I also do have a note from Jeff, our compatriot and editor. And he says, these things look like freaking Cylons.
Yeah. And I do find it amusing that it's another primarily Draconis Combine mech with another bucket head.
Are the Cretans trying to tell us something? Are they trying to tell us that they desire buckets on all of their heads?
They're telling us that they have a design aesthetic.
It's little pants on head.
No, bucket.
Bucket.
Oh, my bad.
So this guy's got a battle value of 936 and a point value of 26. So a little bit of a bump there, but Artemis 4 will kind of do that to you. We then come to the next model, which is the 1H seen in 3066. This guy's got a movement profile of 464. It's got a medium laser in the head. It's got a medium laser in the right arm. It's got a medium laser in the left arm. It has an SRM-6 in the left torso, and it has 8 rocket launcher 10s in the right torso. It's got 14 single heat sinks, so it's got a lot of one-time whoosh.
I'm bummed there isn't art of this.
Yeah. Wouldn't it just kind of be like a rocket version of the Hunchback?
I need to see it. I need to understand how crazy this thing is.
Pirates, Periphery General, Taurians, Filtvelt, Calderon Protectorate, Magistracy, Marians. Yeah. I suppose that's 80 points of damage in a single turn if you really wanted to push it.
Oh, yeah.
Push it real good.
It's also 30 heat.
Hey, as long as the enemy dies.
That is the nice thing about it. I guess you still have to worry about the SRM-6 ammo. You could just blow your entire load in a single shot and overheat and shut down and not worry about blowing up because you just got rid of all your ammo. Except for that SRM-6.
Yeah, of which it only has 1 ton in the left torso.
So it's interesting because this is kind of a 8 shots, basically, with a rocket launcher 10.
Yeah.
So 10 damage, 5-point groupings. So you're probably never going to get that full 10, and it's usually going to group into 2 groupings. So it's kind of like having a light AC5 and a light AC2 for 8 turns
Yeah.
for 4 tons, and with almost AC5 range. So, like with rocket launchers, you either have to go into it as saying, I am going to be a rocket launcher boat, and just I'm going to have enough that I can shoot them every turn of the game, or every likely turn of the game. Or you go, I have 1 ton I don't know what to do with. Sure, let's put a rocket launcher 15 in here.
Yeah. I mean, generally, I feel that rocket launcher mechs are super cool, interesting, and neat, but generally are going to be like op4s or like ambush things that you have to destroy and fight your way through. You know, like you know what, listeners? If you like rocket launchers as a weapon system and want to equip them onto everything, please do let us know. But I don't think I've come across a single player who's like, oh yeah, rocket launchers are my jam. I put those on everything. I give it the Frank's Red Hot treatment.
Yeah, I have to say I'm kind of 2 minds about it. As a player, I would rather have something that will keep on going. As an in-universe lore kind of guy and a military background, I can definitely see the utility of having something light and semi-disposable. You never want to say military equipment's truly disposable because there's people using it. That, in a pinch, when you need it, when you're suddenly confronted with a situation where you have to have that capability or that much extra firepower, you have it.
The way I think of it is, like having that much firepower mobily for a one shot, can put things off balance and, get around your enemy's OODA loop, because they won't be expecting it and it'll throw them off balance, and then you can exploit a weakness or what have you. But it's also a risk. It's also a dedicated thing that you're doing. So there's trade-offs.
Yeah, I think what you just hit on is really important. Problem is it doesn't work so much on the Whitworth because it's so slow.
Yeah.
If you put 80 points of rocket launcher on a cicada, that could be like, okay, I'm hiding out over here, maybe poking with a large laser or something to stay in the fight and DPS.
That had like 6 rocket launcher 10s on it or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's
the box launchers were larger than the actual mech.
Yeah, I want to say 6M, but I don't think that's right.
But the point being, we've seen that design other places that would be more effective than it is here.
Yeah, because if you're on something fast, okay, it's Locust 5V has 2 rocket launcher 10s.
Ah, there you go.
If you had 8 rocket launcher 10s on a cicada, so it could be hanging out, and then when you have that turn where, okay, we need to do as much damage as possible to this mech, it rushes up and it dumps 60 rocket launcher 10s into the mech. That's a lot of firepower.
I mean, 60 rocket launcher 10s is a lot.
Yeah.
You meant 6, didn't you?
Well, I meant 60 missiles.
Yeah, 60 missiles, 6 launchers of 10s. Yeah, I'm just giving you the gears.
Yeah. And you can even kind of, it's got rocket launchers have a long enough range. You can kind of skirmish at the outer edge and fire off a rocket launcher every turn. And again, it's like having a light AC5 and a light AC2. And then you go, okay, this is the pivotal turn, and that is the pivotal target. I'm going to rush in. I'm going to dump the rest of my rockets on it. That could be a game changer. That could be very useful. But it's got to be on something that has the mobility to say, okay, that spot over there is where I need to be this turn, and that's the target I need to hit this turn. I can be there. And I feel like 464 is not...
You're not going to cross that finish line, champ.
Yeah. But it's definitely pointing you in the direction you want to go with rocket launchers.
So we'll call it a half step?
Yes.
Well, the 1H has a battle value of 993 and a point value of 24, so the highest VV so far.
And that's because you can dump 80 points of damage into a target. Well, more than 80 points.
Yeah, you're just going to cook yourself to Kingdom Come.
Because you got 3 medium lasers for 15, and SRM 6 for 12, so that's 27 on top of the 8 rocket launcher 10s. So you could technically dish out 107 points of damage in a single turn. If you don't mind cooking.
Yeah, because that would be
24 heat from the rocket launchers.
37 heat total.
Yeah, for 14 heat sinks. So you wind up with 23 heat in a single turn.
which will get you to ammo explosion avoid on a 6+. Also
Yes.
avoid a shutdown. -4 on your movement points. Ammo explosion on a 4+. Shutdown on a 6+. You are not doing a whole lot for the next couple turns, is what we're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're gonna flush that many rocket launchers in a single turn, that better be your last your last shot for the SRM-6 as well.
Yeah. So next up we have the 2A, seen in 3068. This guy's got a movement profile of 464. It's got a small laser in the head. It has a C3 slave in the center torso, 2 streak SRM-4s in the right torso, same in the left torso, and then a medium laser in both the right and left arm. It has 10 double heat sinks. It has endo steel, and it also has a ton of streak ammo, which is protected by case.
Again, this could be a very good light mech if it went faster.
Yep.
Is that just our a reoccurring nightmare for the Whitworth? Is just if you're a little bit faster, buddy, you just tap it on top of the head, on top of the bucket.
Yeah. I mean, I could see this being quite good in a C3 Lance that is a bunch of other lights and, like doing some sort of a defensive action where they're harassing the sides and this guy just presses up the center and they're giving data to it so it can effectively use the SRMs at long range,
Yeah. That is the one thing that it can kind of do is, okay, I'm going to hang out at Hex 9 for my target and use targeting data from a Spider KC to fire my SRMs streak SRMs as if I was short range. You could at least put an XL engine on this guy and bump him up to 6.9. I don't know if it's a Whitworth at that point, but then he'd actually have some speed to get in there and utilize his streaks and his C3 effectively.
Yeah, like this guy doesn't, to me, because of the lack of speed, he's not the one providing the data, he's the one getting the data.
Yeah, but his weapons are too short range to really utilize that.
Badly, yes.
I guess if you had a C3S infantry unit or something that was dug in a building and this guy's city fighting and he's down at the other end of the block and those guys are just there spotting with their C3 network computer so that he can get his best accuracy shooting down the block. But more speed or longer range weapons.
Yeah. So this guy's got a battle value of 1,055 and a point value of 29. We then come to the -3, seen in 3069. Nice. It's got a movement profile of 466. It's got a C3 slave in the head and 2 LRM-5s in both the right and left torso.
Hey, they listened to me.
It's got 1 ton of ammo in both the right and left torso. No case to protect it, which is unfortunate, but it's got improved jump jets and 10 single heat sinks.
Yeah, now I can utilize that C3 slave. I think the 6 improved jump jets are slightly wasted on it, honestly.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't cram in a 7th and get that really sweet spot. But yeah, a little bit of a waste when you can't actually, you don't want to be jumping because you're sitting back and firing.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely does increase its speed because now it can move 6 hexes every turn and not have to deal with terrain. That's slowing its already slow movement profile down even further.
Yeah, which if you've ever played a game in a forest, you realize it just eats up your movement points. Trying to do a turn and run through a forest, and no, you're going nowhere fast.
Just a bad time.
Unless you have jump jets. So this guy's got a battle value of 882 and a point value of 25. So definitely good artillery or missile boat for a budget, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite so far, but it's been a pretty low bar.
Yeah. So next up we have the -K, seen in 3070. This guy's got a movement profile of 465. It's got a C3 slave in the head, and it's got MML7 in both the right and left torso. It's got 10 single heat sinks. It's got 1 ton of ammo for the LRMs in the left torso, 1 ton of ammo for the SRMs in the right torso. And this is kind of neat. I like the MMLs in the Whitworth. I think that actually is a good fit for them.
I agree. You still got that C3 slave. You've got, like we just talked about, the jumping 5, not quite as far as jumping 6, but you get to ignore all of the terrain, so it makes you a lot more mobile than your 4-6 profile.
Mhm.
So now you can either sit back and provide some fire support with your LRMs and in your MML system, or you can get up close and provide the targeting data. Like you can actually do more with this.
Yeah. Still no weapons in the arms and still no hands on the record sheet. A little sad about that.
And still no case.
Yeah.
But your cheapest chips. I think that's the purpose at this point.
There's weapons in the arms.
Yeah, it's got medium lasers in the arms.
Not on my record sheet.
What record?
Hold on.
I only have the writing of it, so it doesn't say whether it has lasers or not.
Mech Factory, which is where I'm looking at the record sheet, has them in the arms. Let me look at my record sheet, see if I have it. Research live, listeners.
Yeah, just double checked. It the record sheet. Yeah, there.
I got 3050 upgrade for TRO. I got the fancy words.
What's it say? What does it say in Mega Mech?
Mega Mech has one in the left arm and one in the right arm. ER medium.
Weird.
Not have 3050 record sheets.
Yeah, so that's curious. I mean, Sarna only lists the MMLs and the C3. It doesn't list any laser weapons. So it is a thing that is curious and will require a little bit of further research. But in the meantime, I think we can move along. And also, like, it's probably going to be one of those things where we're going to be digging into it, or a fan will go and email us after the episode is out and be like, I can tell you exactly what's wrong here. And that's kind of why I love this community. So the Dash K has a battle value of 819 and a point value of 26. And our last model is the WTH-5S, seen in 3074, and produced by Spillman Provincial Refit Factory on Acrix. It's got a lot going for it, because it has a little bit of a redo on its art, giving it a shading which looks quite nice, and I like it. It has a movement profile of 4, 6, 8, and then a jump of 4. It has a medium X pulse laser in the right arm, which is also aided by an actuator enhancement system. Same in the left arm. It's got a Streak SRM6 in the right and left torso. It has a supercharger, and then it also has a Guardian ECM suite in the center torso. It's got 10 double heat sinks, an XL engine, and case 2 to protect that ammo in the right torso, because it has 1 ton of these Streaks.
Yeah, probably the most competent Whitworth we've seen yet, although I do like the MML one. Streak 6s, hyper efficient weapons. You've got
medium X pulse lasers, what's not to love?
The heat, but yeah, they're definitely in it. Range of a standard medium laser with the pulse of a pulse laser. Solid. Supercharger, just run it. Toggle that switch every other turn. Yeah, that right there is probably the biggest assistance to it.
I do feel that with the amount of weight you put into the supercharger and with it having an XL engine, could you have just bumped it up to 5.8?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Which would be even better, obviously.
Yeah, because it's more reliable. You're probably like short a half a ton or something like that. Silly.
Just pull it out of the armor.
I mean, you could even just take one or two of the jump jets off.
You're a ton short.
Yeah. Honestly, though, get rid of the jump jets. Like,
you could.
You don't have enough of them to make it truly worthwhile because you're still only 464.
Yeah.
So just double down on.
You're a sprinter now.
Yeah.
Or you could replace the X pulses with 2 ER mediums. Then you have a free ton to play with.
Well, this guy's got a battle value of 1230 and a point value of 32. And that is the last model for the episode. We then go to our pilot profiles. And our first pilot for our pilot profiles is Diablos Marta, a soldier of unknown rank in the Rimworld Republic military, whose records were lost or expunged. They led 12 soldiers in the 9th Company of the 99th Ameris Dragoons. This unit is responsible for raising 24 cities and towns along the Larian Commonwealth Rimworld Republic border during the annexation of the Rimworld Republic into the Larian Confederation after the Ameris coup and fall of the Ameris Empire.
So, patriots or terrorists?
I mean, it depends
Yes.
on whose side you're on. I'm going to go with terrorists because burning cities and towns is never good. Don't destroy infrastructure.
Operation Gomorrah, World War II. And then our second pilot profile today is a twofer. We have Mech Warriors Gavro Kent and Marco Hallman. They were both promising young cadets at the Sun Zeng Military Academy, who became fast friends and competed good-naturedly to become the school's top cadets. After graduation, they served together in Kurita's Razelhog regulators, both piloting a pair of Whitworths. These Whitworths would eventually become famous and iconic, as during a Kurita raid on the Davian-held world of Iliador IV in 3026, Hallman and Kent were ordered to participate in an attack on the village of Morik, which their commander suspected of harboring Davian agents. After receiving the order to raze the village and kill every living thing in it as a punitive measure, Mech Warrior Gavro Kent refused to participate in the massacre. Shocked by his friend's behavior, Mech Warrior Marco Hallman reported him to their commander, who filed charges of insubordination against Kent. In a subsequent violent confrontation between Kent and Hallman, Kent nearly killed his former friend and then defected with his Whitworth to the Davian side. Since then, the two Mech Warriors have become sworn enemies, battling with savage fury every time they meet on the field. Serving in regiments that regularly come into contact, their rivalry continues to this day, neither gaining the upper hand. To this day, obviously, is not present time because this is technical readout 3025.
But you too can relive this harrowing tale in the Holovid story acted out by I don't know.
Find out next week. Dragon Ball Z.
Like, legitimately, I could see that story being written into like an Immortal Warrior like subplot or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be perfect propaganda fodder for both sides. Davian presenting Gavro Kent as the Mech Warrior with a conscience who refused to participate in a massacre, and the Curetans conveniently leaving that part out and portraying him as the disgraced warrior who betrayed his oath and his masters.
And look how our enemy still accepts him even in his disgraced status.
Yep.
How dare.
For our data dive today, I am going to throw over to Chandler.
Well, welcome back, folks. Today we are going to jump back in time to the founding of one of the most influential states upon the history of the Inner Sphere, the Rimworld's Republic. This story begins back in 2236 during the Outer Reaches Rebellion against the slowly devolving Terran Alliance. That's right, folks. We're going way back, like pre-hegemony, pre-Star League, pre-everyone. No, none of the successor states exist. None of the periphery states exist. It's a different time, a different place. It's almost like it's a long time ago.
A simpler time, if you will.
Just don't tell that to the Terran Alliance. They'll be like, what do you mean, simpler time?
Better time.
This gets more complicated? Oh no.
So, one Hector Worthington Rowe would start his rise to prominence during the siege of Alexandria by the Terran Alliance, and this would instill within him a deep hatred of his opponent. After the Terrans withdrew in 2238, Rowe would begin pushing a radical patriotism upon his home planet of Alexandria, which would be focused around opposing the Terran Alliance, and would end up with the founding of a quasi-political club in the next year of 2239. It is unknown if this rhetoric of hate was from his heart or if he eventually was just swayed by his own words. But this club would eventually evolve into a paramilitary organization focused upon striking at the, in air quotes, Great Alliance Devil. They would find their chance with the forces of the 151st Altarian Fusiliers stationed, or more accurately, marooned, upon the close-by world of Lucianka. I pronounce things incorrectly, properly.
Yes, when you mispronounce things, you do it the right way.
Yes. Hijacking 5 Sky Freight jump ships, Rowe and his band, the Theban Legion, would slip through the defenses and quickly overwhelm the garrison. After personally executing the garrison commander and his chief executive officer, Rowe quickly set up kangaroo courts, which quickly condemned the remaining soldiers as war criminals, again in air quotes.
Just reminds me of the Battlestar Galactica episode where they're spacing collaborators.
I mean, which time?
No, yeah. Which time did we space people? Well, was it the 4th day, the 20th day?
They totally deserved it.
Over half of the 350 remaining soldiers would be brutally tortured and murdered in the next 2 weeks. This only ceased when one of the jump ships managed to jump out of the system, taking word of the atrocities with it. Realizing the predicament Rowe and his followers were now in, he decided against returning to Alexandria, whether in some misguided sense of patriotism or in desperate self-preservation, as most would probably look there first for him.
Yeah, I would guess it would be the latter.
Yeah, it is unknown which one fueled his decision to not go back to Alexandria. Giving the remaining sky jump ships the choice of joining with him or dying, Rowe would flee with his Theban legion into the Dark Nebula region. That rhymes. Okay, didn't realize that when I wrote that. Past what would eventually become the Lyran Commonwealth. This was only done after he had burned at the torch the remaining Terran soldiers on Lucianka. Got to be consistent with my mispronunciation. Only stopping to raid planets on their journey outwards for food, supplies, and of course women, Rowe and his band would discover a small G5 star on the far side of the Dark Nebula with a single habitable world in orbit. Rowe would name this planet Apollo, and on September 8th, 2250, he would proclaim the founding of the Rim Worlds Republic. Off to a good start, those guys. Nothing possibly could go bad in the future.
Or they could be setting up the seeds of the downfall of the greatest tyrant ever.
Yes, of course. This new government would be founded on Rowe's interpretation, however warped, of Plato and Greek society. The woman Rowe and his Theban legion had stolen on their flight from Lucianka. I'm doing great. Don't worry. I can pronounce things. Were given two options: marry one of his followers in a contract marriage, or be demoted to the new servitor class to be cheap labor. Despite this treatment of his new countrymen, Rowe was no fool, and he knew they would have to preserve what little technology Rimworld's Republic had on hand. This resulted in Rowe decreeing that any possessing scientific or technical skills should be exempt from mundane tasks to be able to focus on these most important of duties. Rowe would, of course, become the first consul of his new nation.
Of course.
Naturally.
Cue Rowe standing gloriously on top of his new, Capitol building, which is made of like 7 sticks and a piece of metal from one of the jump ships. Despite such a harsh founding, the Republic would not only survive, but prosper in the years after its founding. However, Hector Rowe would not. In 2305, his third son, Maxwell Achilles Rowe, turned his new nation against him, using substantial bribes of precious metal and slaves to force a vote of no confidence against his father.
So you would say his line of succession was his Achilles heel?
Yes.
Ba-dum-bum.
Unable to deal with this loss, Hector Worthington Rowe would take his own life in November of 2305, with his son Maxwell immediately taking the mantle of first consul of the World's Republic. After Maxwell's ascension, slow growth would reign in the World's Republic into 2330s, when droves of artisans and technicians, fleeing the rule of the fledgling Draconis Combine, would begin settling the planets around the Republic. Maxwell would take advantage of this, forming trade pacts with many of the newly founded colonies. These pacts would develop, conspicuously avoiding developing any sort of military commitment, until 2334, when the Rimworld's Republic was able to bring the worlds of Star's End, Steelton, Toland, Bensinger, Wotan, and Anywhere into its sphere of influence.
Anywhere. Someone's wife picked that destination.
Yeah. Where do you want to flee from the Draconis Combine? Let's just go anywhere. With its expansion, the Rimworld's Republic was still able to muster enough of a military presence to defend itself. However, it was lacking the raw materials and a developing nation needs, and additionally was eyeing the growing animosity between the Tamar Pact and the Draconis Combine. Seeing an opportunity, the Republic moved forward and founded colonies on the planets of Ikar, Persistence, Winfield, Durf, Golandrius, Lakov, Lackove, Lakov, and Goddardammerung, without the bordering Tamar Pact being aware. Some of these planet names in Battletech, some of them make complete sense, and I'm like, I got you. And then some of them, they look like they're missing a letter or two.
Probably not from your native language.
Yep.
Or from your native language long before people spoke it like you.
Yeah.
Are you telling me not everyone uses English in the far-flung future? What the heck?
Esperanto.
Esperanto. That is our solution. By 3338, the Rimworld's Republic had expanded to nearly 1/4 the size of the Tamar Pact when disaster struck. 3 Rimworld's Republic ships had strayed too close to the Tamar border planet of Chateau. Seeing these unknown ships as Cretan raiders, Tamar forces managed to destroy one of the jump ships before the remaining 2 could escape. And this is where we shall leave off. A republic formed, expanding, and now potentially coming into conflict with its neighbors. How will this first contact between these two interstellar nations go? Will war break out, or will cooler heads prevail? Find out in the next data dive on the history of the RimWorld's Republic. But cue traditional awesome RimWorld's Republic music. I don't know.
The RimWorld Republic national anthem plays in the background.
Yes. Also, before we continue on, I have gotten an answer from the Hive Mind, and conspicuously enough, one of our co-hosts, Charles Gideon, has come to the rescue. The Whitworth K does have a ER medium laser in the left arm, the right arm, and along with a MML7 in the right torso, an MML7 in the left torso, and a C3 slave unit in the head.
Intriguing. So my record sheets just must be out of date. That definitely makes it a much better machine.
However, the thing he posted also says it goes 465.
I
believe that's illegal.
Is the K?
The K. The 4 is 465.
Yeah, it is 465.
Oh, it is?
Improved jump jets.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I just wasn't paying attention. Deleting that comment. I will not make a fool of myself. Not that I already haven't.
You just improperly pronounced improved jump jets.
Improved jump jets.
Indeed. Well, there you go.
Yeah, the RimWorld's Republic. Nothing possibly could go bad with those guys.
No.
Heroes of the periphery.
Yes. They totally were not bad people at the beginning. No, not pirates, not radical terrorists, not at all. They didn't burn people at the stake.
At least there was only one direction, up.
I do find it kind of quite interesting that the people fleeing the Draconis Combine went way the heck over to, like, on the other side of Lyran space.
Well, you got to get away from the Draconis Combine.
You really got to get away.
And the RimWorld's Republic, at one point or another, ends up essentially wrapping around the entire outer edge of the Lyran Commonwealth. So
yeah, like the RimWorld Republic had a very large base.
Yeah, this could very well be the leading edge of the Lyran border there with the RimWorld's Republic. True. And near Combine space, roughly. Mm-hmm. That or it's totally, oh my god, we need to leave now and just go as far as possible.
Yeah,
just keep going
until we run out
west.
of supplies.
Hey, these guys aren't too bad.
RimWorld's Republic military slowly hides pitchforks. We're not bad at all.
Oh yes, these nooses, they're for the Draconis Combine.
Yeah.
Yes. Be friends with us, but don't ask us to defend you until you're part of us.
Yeah. Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO Succession Wars, Record Sheets Succession Wars, TRO 3050 Upgrade, Record Sheets 3050 Upgrade Inner Sphere, TRO Boondocks, and the Battletech the Periphery.
As well as Charles Gideon, apparently.
Yes. And the all-powerful Hive Mind.
Yes, all hail the Hive Mind. Now, something to note about the Periphery First Edition is it has a weird canonicity. Essentially, as long as it's not contradicted anywhere else, it's canon. But as soon as it's contradicted anywhere else, what it's saying is not canon.
Interesting.
So
why is that?
When it mentions, because there's stuff that changes, that's retconned in the future, effectively. Because the first edition's like way back in the day.
It was like the early days.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite one, though.
Yeah. So, like, the story of how the Lyrans got their battle mechs and that, and it says that the RimWorld's Republic helped. That's not canon. The RimWorld's Republic did not help.
See, why couldn't they have had a spy in there? Like, why couldn't have been one of their dudes who helped them get those connections?
Because that would make too much sense. And because the RimWorld's Republic can't have anything nice, because they have too many nice things later.
Don't want to make them too sympathetic.
Yes. Well, that, and you also have to have the whole reason for them getting along with the Lyrans being the Lyrans give them mechs. That's gotta be crazy. Lyrans just pat someone on the head and be like, here's battle mechs, after they, like, burn an entire what is it, like MI6. Yeah. After they burn an entire, like, secret squad of highly trained individuals and a dropship.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they did sell the battle mech technology to the RimWorld Republic, but that was more of a, like, yeah, you're gonna get it eventually. Everybody's starting to get it. Let's make some bank off it.
And, it's nice to have you be able to fight the Drax, because we both hate Drax.
Yeah. Also better to be your friend than our enemy.
Rather you be friends because we gave you mechs, rather than someone else give you mechs and then hate us.
This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III and Hot Dog Cider is Canon.
Last dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Peace out, Mech Warriors.
Stay safe out there.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
I'm so sorry.
What was that
It's
noise?
fine. Don't worry.
She's playing PvP and she just won the match.
Nice. Tell
For
her
the very first
congratulations.
time.
Classic.
Oh, she's third time winning? Apparently I married a winner.
There you go.
Do 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 do.